Hello and welcome to this Oklahoma State Historic Preservation Office Lunch and Learn presentation. Today, it's my pleasure to introduce Kevin Dyke. He is an associate professor and the Maps and Spatial Data Curator at Oklahoma State University's Edmon Low Library. And his presentation today is Exploring Oklahoma's Cartographic History, a tour of Oklahoma State University's McCaslin Foundation Maps and Spatial Data. Thank you so much, Kevin, for joining us, and I'll hand it over to you.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Christina. And thanks everyone for attending. Really appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now and start the show. So I really, once again, I really appreciate the chance to speak with you all today. I'm going to just talk a little bit about the collection itself and my sort of position here in the library, because for one, it's been before I came here, and it's been about 8 years now, so I'm not brand new anymore, as much as it continues to surprise me. I Before I came here, there was a stretch of time where the map collection didn't have a full-time staff member in charge of it, so it really just wasn't really being used to its full potential, apart from the creation of the digital maps collection, which I will be discussing in a lot of detail, and has been a really successful, one of the longer going and oldest online digital map collections pretty much anywhere. It's really pretty remarkable. But I was never really one for mission statements. Before starting this job, I was like, what's the point? I don't really get it. Why it's always so vague and so nebulous. But I've kind of come around on them as I became someone responsible for a collection of a couple 100,000 maps and 150,000 aerial photographs. Having a sort of North Star, as in a way, is really important. And so ours, as I've sort of developed it, is preserving and enhancing access to Oklahoma's cartographic heritage. And that really, for me at least, guides my work. It guides how we approach our collection development moving forward, and the sort of things I do to work with our collection. So apart from adding new maps to the collection, how do we make our maps easy to get to and help people realize that our maps are in fact there. So just kind of bureaucratically, we are part of the Distinctive Collections Division in the OSU Library, which that's where University Archives, University Special Collections, and then our various branch libraries are all under that division. So it's very much a collections-focused position that I have. I manage the maps. I manage as I said here, my ragtag band of student assistants. I have anywhere between 5 and 9 student assistants at any given semester. They're responsible for manning, for staffing our front desk, and then also, just as an aside, we offer a free poster printing service for the OSU community, and that's a big part of what we do day to day. So my students help run that service. And yeah, so I came to this job from a GIS background, so doing creating maps, doing spatial analysis. I trained in geography. I did graduate school in geography. I never actually was educated as a librarian. I'm just someone I've worked in. This is the 5th library I've worked in now in my life. I just can't help but end up in libraries. And thanks to working with very heavy, large maps, I get to work in library basements specifically. So yay for me. and my lack of sunlight. So as I alluded to earlier, we have a collection of 200,000-ish maps. It's not that's not an exact number, obviously. It's something that has obviously grown over time. It's something that the growth of it is not nearly as rapid now as it was in the past, which there are a number of reasons for that, but obviously the biggest one is just sort of the decline of printed materials in general, full stop. But especially maps. So we're a regional depository library, which means for the longest time, for well over 100 years, we've been receiving materials from the federal government, from the General Printing Office, federal documents, and as part of that, we've gotten a lot of maps. So a substantial part of our collection is just the regional depository materials, and that includes things like topographic maps of all over every state. We have a decent number of USGS topographic maps, down to the largest scale, 1 to 24,000, which is very detailed. And taken as a whole, the USGS topographic map collection is, I like to say, it's sort of the original Google Maps, where you can zoom in on basically any part of the country and see it in increasing levels of detail. And then we also have maps showing the rest of the world. We have topographic maps showing South Korea, Japan, South America, in different countries in Africa. We have just about a map of everywhere someone might be looking for. Now, just a map, so we're not going to have a specific map from a specific year or showing a specific theme for everywhere in the world. That's maybe only the Library of Congress could pull that sort of coverage off. But our focus is obviously, or maybe not obviously, but Oklahoma and previously Indian Territory. That is our strengths. We continue to collect in that area. So anytime I encounter maps for sale or for offer, either from the past or new maps showing Oklahoma, those are purchased and added to our collection. And it is that Oklahoma focus that has been brought online. Because I mentioned a lot of our maps are from the repository program. A lot of those are already digitized and online, and they're just not particularly unique, so there's not a huge incentive for us to focus on scanning those and making those available, creating metadata for them all. Instead, we focused on everything showing Oklahoma, and as well as Indian Territory. That's our focus as far as our digitization efforts. And this is just a little visualization showing the distribution of our digital map collection. So each of those differently colored rectangles represents a single map in our collection. In this case, the color of the boxes doesn't really matter. That's related to something else. But anyway, so you can see here we have, you can see there's a large cluster showing the entire continental United States. And then there's a real cluster of those blue rectangles down at the bottom, or in the middle. And if zooming in on that, you can see that's Oklahoma. And you can see we have many, many, many maps showing the whole state. And then if you go in even further, you'll see individual towns, such as you can see Oklahoma City and Tulsa there, and then Stillwater is right between them, basically. And so that's a little visualization of how our map collection is distributed. And this is also sort of a testament to the amount of information we have for our collection, because each of these boxes had to be entered manually. That's something that the metadata team and everyone who's worked on this digital collection has worked on entering. So it's a testament to our to the perseverance of our team in a lot of ways. So real quickly, I want to show you. So here's the home page for the digital map collection. And you can see it's broken up into a number of sort of sub-collections.
Kevin, sorry.
Yes.
The image that you're illustrating now, it's not showing up on the same screen.
Oh, okay. Let me see if I can change. Yeah, I was sharing just a single tab. Now I'm sharing. Okay, I think that's better now.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for pointing that out, Christina. I would have gone on for way too long for something that no one could see. Okay, so yeah, so you can see our digital map collection covers a bunch of sub-collections. Probably the main one is the McCaslin collection, and that consists entirely of maps of the area of Oklahoma that were included in the congressional serial set, which is the proceedings and publications of Congress collated into volumes and published and released. So we can look at the congressional serial set, and it includes things, just to pull a few randomly. So you can see this is a map from the 8th annual report of the Commission to the 5 civilized so-called tribes. And this is something showing an extremely small-scale map. So we are looking at a single section of a township. So this is showing land ownership and parcels in this particular area. And you can see down here, you can see the report that it's from, and you can see who engraved it. A lot of our maps were done by the Julius Bean company, and it's from 1902. So that is a nice example of what we have. Just another one quickly. Here's a map of the Chickasaw Nation showing basically land classification, which is really fascinating to see in a map published in 1900. So that is another sort of classic example of what the McCaslin collection has to offer. Another collection I want to point out quickly, and I will return to this later, is the WPA, what we call the WPA map collection. Now, this is a collection of maps that was produced by the Oklahoma Tax Commission, but it was the field work for these maps was done with WPA, Works Progress Administration workforce. And what these maps are is they are tax valuation and land ownership maps showing every single piece of rural land across the entire state, showing who owns the land, and then also the value of any improvements on the land and the value of the land itself. And you can see it's broken down by county and then public land township designation. So total for each of the 77 counties multiplied out by, depending on how many townships are in each county, it ends up being well over 2,000 individual maps that look like this. So it was an enormous amount of work. You can see how detailed it gets. We're talking, let's see, quarter section in size in a lot of cases. So these things are incredibly detailed, and they're all here. And if you knew what you were looking for, you could find them, but they're not. It's not as navigable or easy to use as I would have liked. So I'll show you in a while the different work we've done to make these more accessible to everyone. And it is, I saw, 2,313 maps to be precise. And this was done in 1936, so it's really a fascinating snapshot of Oklahoma history. Right in the middle of the Depression, the Dust Bowl, and really seeing the state of where Oklahoma was at that point. And I think, yeah, that's it. And then there's other the other collections in there, and you can look at the entire collection just using View the Collection, and that's everything, all 412 pages of them. So there you can see rates of diabetes and all sorts of maps. So it really covers a lot. Yeah, and I want to say another part of what sorry, let me pop back to slideshow. Another, so part of the digital collection is that we provide access to digital copies of the maps from our collection. Now, we don't provide free copies of everything in our collection because some of those items are under copyright still. And while we provide digital viewing under a assumed free use, we don't provide free downloads to the material. But for everything in the McCaslin collection in particular, because it was a publication of the U.S. federal government, it is inherently in the public domain. So we provide very high resolution. So we provide 600 DPI, which is dots per inch, which is a quality level that's archival quality level. And that's something we provide freely to people. So anyone who's looking to create a print of one of our maps, they can do that. Anyone looking to include one of our maps in a publication, so like a journal article or a book, we provide free access to those. So yeah, that's a little bit about the map collection, and then I want to talk just a little bit about our aerial photograph collection. So we, along with a number of other institutions in the state, have aerial photographs covering the different counties of Oklahoma, going back in time, in many places to the 1930s. Our collection is roughly 150,000 photos. That's something that also continues to grow as I get contacted by places, agencies, professors, other people who have decided that they don't have space or they need to get rid of these things, and I drive down and usually load them up and bring them back here. Even if we don't necessarily have space, I can't bear to see these things get thrown out. So just to show you a little bit, like this is the aerial photographs I'm talking about here. So you can see on the right, that's a single photograph. You can see it has the date that it was captured. So this was from November of 1964. And then there's the code in the top right shows the county, which is Adair County. CFL was the three-letter code used for Adair County. And then it shows the roll of film and the frame of the picture, so the individual picture. And you can see on the top left how these pictures fit together. So that is a mosaic laydown. So basically taking all these individual photos and laying them out because they overlap, so that you can basically piece it together to get a full sense of the terrain. And just below that that mosaic laydown is the same exact area, except all of the photos have been blended together. So cutting out the individual frame distinctions, so all those different identifiers there, and then you can see it looks like just one single continuous picture. And that's something that we're hoping to continue doing with a lot of our aerial photos. It's something that requires quite a bit of effort, but it's something I've been doing work with some machine learning to identify and just trying to ease the process of creating these photo mosaics, which again are something that we provide free access to. So we provide access to aerials, so people will request aerials, say I looking for my family's farm and I want copies of every aerial photograph you have showing this particular point of longitude latitude, or they'll provide the public land survey, the survey description of the place they're interested in. They'll usually email, but they also call or come in person and ask for that. We'll find it, and then we will deliver high resolution copies. And then we also, being a state where ownership of aerial photographs is spread out between a number of different players, there is an ongoing project spearheaded by the Oklahoma Corporation Commission. Madeline Dillner in particular has really driven that, and that has brought together a lot of the different collections under one roof. So that's a place I will go and my students will go to find aerials in addition to looking at our own collection, because I know a lot of places who hold these aerial photos don't have staffing available to do the discovering and delivering of the photos. So it's something that I feel is important for us to, an important service for us to provide as a land grant university. It's part of our giving back. Like, we are responsible for serving the public, is what I like to think. And just to show you, so here's a list on our website showing the different years we have for the different counties. So you can see we're talking, we have a lot of different coverage, and this is just ours. You could see if you go to a guide created by the good people down at OU, they have the same sort of list, except it shows the main different holdings. So we have the Department of Libraries, the Geological Survey, us, and then also OU has some as well. So that's a really useful guide for anyone looking at aerial photographs. So that's a rough introduction to our collections themselves, and sort of like the basic how we provide access to them. Here you can search for the text, or you can give us the latitude, longitude you're looking for, and then we'll provide access to it. And that works great. That is a tried and true method. But now I want to show you just a few different projects I've worked on or that are ongoing that are ways to provide access to our collection in different ways. So that those WPA maps I mentioned, so they're all those 2,000 maps. That's something that we've, there's a process called georeferencing where you take so just those square township maps, and then you place pins in it more or less that says this corresponds to this place on the globe. And you do that over and over, for all 2,000 maps. And what it does is it allows you to create a more or less seamless layer showing these maps exactly as they fall given today. So you can see here, here's Oklahoma City. You have the ability to sort of do a swipe where you can compare and contrast. So I'd like to see on a place like Oklahoma City, you can see there were the boundaries as it was in 1936, and you can see how things have changed quite a bit. A lot of larger landowners have since sold and are now covered in homes. So it's a really fascinating thing. And then another nice aspect of this is you click anywhere and you can say, I want to view and download the original map, and that takes you to that original thing. So so we're showing the ability to navigate these things using this sort of map. So so one thing you can do is just search by address, and that will show. So you can see, and that, not to dox myself, but that was my own address, and that's where I can see who owned the land that my house is on, which is now Babcock Park in Stillwater. And you can see they just misspelled it in 1936, which, that's not unexpected, but that's something that happened. So that's one thing we do with those, with the WPA maps. That was sort of like the starting point. And now we're working on a project to actively transform all these. So what that means is we're transcribing them and creating browsable, searchable information out of these things. So you can see here, each of these red pieces shows a parcel of land that's been transcribed by largely a lot of my students have worked on this. So you can see we're up to 227,000 individual land parcels that have been done. And what's kind of neat about this is that we've made it so that anyone can contribute. So you can see here, you can create an account, sign in, but you could also just hop right in. So let's say I want to draw some shapes. It'll load everything that's on there. You can pick a spot that you're interested in. I'll just pick one that's relatively simple looking. So we'll do Randolph Sayers here. And basically you just click New Feature and then place some points down to roughly capture that space. And then you enter person's name, the land value, so that's that L is 1600, improvements, there's nothing. Is it marked with an X? No. And then you say create. And then you see that shape has been added to the map. And that's all there is to it. So that's something that we're having. And you can see the number just went up to 227,303. So there you go. So that's something that I invite any of you to contribute to. It's the sort of thing that some people get really into contributing to an effort like that. And so we're creating this searchable database that you can use to, it's useful for scholars, it's useful for people who are just looking for family, or people who are looking to analyze the land holdings of a particular family or company, people who own a bunch of land property across the state. So it's really a fascinating data set that we're putting together. Next, I want to just share a brief, so using that digital map collection, you can create something like this, which is a collection, which is a sort of narrative history, more or less, of Oklahoma and Indian Territory using all these different maps from our collection in a way that's all interactive, zoomable, and things like that. So that's, I won't go through the whole thing, but it's showing, it's another way of sort of getting at our collection in a hopefully engaging way. Going back to aerial photographs, we've this application that I like to call Stillwater from the Air, where we've taken every single aerial photograph showing that covers the city of Stillwater, and that process georeferencing, like I mentioned, we've done that. So you can see, so here's our modern current day, more or less, and we can say, oh, let me see what it looked like in 1991. And so you can see there's, this is the stadium in present day, and then to the right you can compare that and see this is what it looked like in 1991. But how about 1969? Oh, interesting. So you can see there, things, it changed quite a bit there. Let me go full screen here. Now, how about what do you say, 63? Sure. Okay, didn't change as much between 63 and 69. That's to be expected. But how about, let's turn off 1963. How about 1938? And so there you can see in 1938, things, the football stadium wasn't quite the behemoth that it is now. And what's, so this is an application that allows you to take all of these different layers. And in fact, if you're looking at, say, a really large screen, you could have up to 8 different layers on this thing, and they all stay synced up. And with something like aerial photographs, this is great because you can look and see over time, like, when did this building come to be? And you can see it is basically there. It was built between 1938 and 1949, this one right here. So really, it's a very cool tool, and this is more or less a proof of concept, because it shows what is possible with these mosaicked, georeferenced aerial photograph layers that I alluded to that we're working on putting together. Because this project, this took a whole lot of labor of students. So I think it was 5 students working more or less the whole summer, georeferencing, scanning, and putting these together. And then I had to do a considerable amount of work to produce these resulting layers. That's not sustainable to do for just, you know, one whole county. If you zoom out here, you can see we just did the sort of Stillwater area. So to do that for even a whole county, let alone the whole state, is pretty not feasible. So that's something I'm continually working forward towards, is how to make it more doable and possible. And then one last little thing I want to take a look at is the spatial search application I call Maps OK. Now this is something that presents this is another entry point to the digital maps collection. So it's not exhaustive in terms of every map in our collection, but it includes more or less everything in our digital collection. So basically what you do is you drag, you can pan and zoom the map just like any other interactive map like Google Maps, and then you see this gray box that appeared. This is the area that will be searched for corresponding maps that fit that sort of size. And as you hover over these maps on the side, it shows the maps that correspond to that search that you just executed. So you can see this here is a Rand McNally Indian Territory map from 1889. And here you can zoom in, and this is a good one showing Greer County as part of Texas. This was during the time where Greer County, what is now Greer County, was contested. And so you can go full screen with the map in the map. You can download, you can crop. So that's pretty, that's right? And you can continually scroll. So you can see this is a sort of like an infinite scrolling thing, where as we go on, this is another nice one. I like to see I think this is the Arbuckle Coffee Company, Indian Territory. And so so we could say zoom in to Stillwater. And that will bring up a bunch of maps of Stillwater. So really, it's intuitive. That's what the hope is here. That you can look for a particular place. So you could just zoom in, but you could also just draw a box here. So let's say I'm looking for maps of Oklahoma City. I can just draw this box around Oklahoma City, and that will show you these maps that correspond to that. So you can see saddle up to a spirited city. There's excitement in the air in Oklahoma City. Fantastic. And then another thing you can do is just simply search by text. I won't do Stillwater. Let's see. I'm going to search coal. So here I can turn off the search for, and clear that as well. So you can see here, these are maps that just in the title include the word coal. So you can see the Choctaw Nation showing the southern limit of the coal field, and then you can see Cole County pops up. So really, so it's giving the ability to pull up a county and then search, draw a box, and let's say we want to just see Garfield County maps, and there you see them. So this is just to wrap. It's a intuitive, ideally intuitive way to explore our map collection, and it's something I hope to build upon and make more broadly inclusive of other map collections that make their material, their metadata available for use by someone like me. And with that, I am going to wrap up my portion, and I would love to answer any questions you all might have, if anything.
Thank you so much for this presentation, Kevin. This has been excellent. I really appreciate you taking the time to share this information with us.
Yeah.